actually, work our body, increase our circulation, try to avoid some of the stiffness in the body, and try to improve our walking and our balance so that we build some feeling and sensitivity to what we're doing. So, all of this is important, to help prevent the progression of Parkinson's, and also to build new movements that we maybe didn't realize we could do, or also how do we learn how to do certain motions. So, I'll give you some insight and experience as to how we learn how to move, and then you can use that, to supplement anything else that you're trying to improve. So that's really, we're creatures of habit, and we do something over and over again, but it has to be somewhat organized and a strategy to how we can develop, our motor skill, as well as, to build this coordination that we're trying to build. All right, so let's start off with our feet in a V. That's 90 degrees, and we open it up like this on the balls of our feet. Okay, now we're going to go to shoulder width stance, and then we're going to bring our hands up like this, and we're going to turn shoulders. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Bend to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. So we have to learn to release the tension in the body, and the best way to release some of that tension is to move. So we're bending, but it's like you're stretching in a sense, but you're also in motion, so that your body, because we're standing, is really compensating for the different actions. So that's part of, our sensory system and our proprioceptive reflexes that allow us to form these different positions. So we're switching hands, and we're doing a bit of a stretch, but then creating an action. So that's something that's, I think is pretty valuable. Now when we're going up like this to do the forward stretch, just release and go down as low as you can, then turn, and then back up. So we're in motion, and we're balancing so we don't tip over, so the body responds. We're doing a stretch, and as we release the tension, your body kind of adapts to the position. So we go like this. Inhale, palm up. Exhale, press down. And let's breathe through the nose. Inhale, exhale. Now let's put our tongue to the roof of the mouth. Okay, so let's try to get that concept, into a habit. So where the tongue touches the roof, you breathe through your nose. If it's, if you don't have a blockage, or you don't have problems, with the nasal cavity, just learn to breathe through your nose, because it becomes deeper and it's more, mindful when it goes into the nose and exhales through the nose. Now with the tongue against the roof of your mouth, it's almost impossible to breathe through your mouth. Because we're balancing movement and breath, we want to, get that coordinated. Okay, next we have our hands on the waist. I'm going to make a circle. Just loosening up the body, creating this circular pattern that's really a circle like this. So we're creating the circle, and you can see the roundness of that motion. And then we reverse. Do about 10. And then we finish up on these. We're going to go to a cross-arm position, hold the kneecaps, the feet are parallel, and you make a few circles, holding your kneecap and your knees are folding, ankles are relaxed, creating the same circle that we did with the waist. So this is just the knees going around, even though the rest of your body is actually working with that motion. Okay, now we're going to switch hands and go in the opposite direction. And center. Okay, so we're just moving our joints. Hands on the waist. Now we're going to move by turning the head, the neck area. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and stop. Okay, now we're going to go backwards with the neck. The head tilts forward and back. 8, 9, and 10. Okay, tilt to the side. Go, sort of putting your ear toward your shoulder. And you can probably feel some of the tension in the neck area as you stretch it by bending and releasing. And center. Okay, shake it out. Circular movements, just a couple of these. 2, I don't want to do too many because some people get dizzy when you're doing these circular movements. So let's just do a couple on each side and back to center. Okay, hands up, elbows fold, point the elbows to the side and down. Now we're going to do that with a toe raise. We'll lift the heel off the ground and then drop. Now we're going to pull in, go up on our toes and inhale. Exhale. So the breath is at the same speed as you expand, and then the same speed as you descend. So it's done slowly. Okay, control that breath. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, now we're going to put the hands back on the waist. Pivot, 1, 2, 3.5. So we're in this V-shaped position. Arms are going to swing like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, shake it out. So you notice when we're turning or making any of these circles, you have trouble doing any of those motions, it's because your musculature isn't cooperating or it doesn't know when to relax or when to sort of contract. So that's something that if you do it over time by paying attention to the movement, you get your body to respond, and then the more you do it, the better it gets, but then at the same time, the more, not just the coordination, but the control of the correct muscles. So if you're, even the wrists, if your hands are like this, and it's straight, and you try to bend it up and it doesn't go, it's because it doesn't release here. If you want it to go down and it doesn't go down, you have to get it to release here. So those are actions. So when we move our hands, you have to create the program that actually gets that motion to happen. And that's something that happens innately as you begin to recognize and copy a movement. But in the beginning, it doesn't happen right away, right? So when we're in this position, like in the starting position, we're going to work pivoting our feet square up. So this is your square stance back, okay, the corner stance or the 90 degree, feet together 45 degree on each side, and then open. So this is your square stance, your angular stance or triangle stance. The triangle's tip of the toe to the heel, there's a triangle there. Here's your square, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is a little bit of a swaying from side to side, but you're not swaying in a sense that you're doing this. You're just shifting the weight and alternating the feet. So that's a little bit shifting to each side. Okay, now we're going to kick the heel out and face this way. We go forward and back. So this is Tai Chi leg work because we want to build control of our feet, steering us in a direction. We have to learn to pivot and move our feet. Now, if you're paying attention and watching how to get this transition to work, you notice that I'm not picking my feet up 100%. My toe is connected, and then the heel, when I go forward, the heel is still down. I just pivot and rotate off of it. So the only thing that's happening is I'm using either the heel or the toe to set up the next position. The next position's really setting up your next transition, which will take us 180 degrees to one side or the other. So when I turn and pivot, I shift the weight. So that's called an archery stance. It's called an empty stance or sitting stance. Is the sitting stance and the archery stance or archer stance. So this is really a lean and a triangle. Okay, so you like that. This is more of a triangular stance. And then we're here. Okay, so there's a little drill you can do. You can follow the video and just build off this network of movements. And once you have it, you can practice it throughout the day or whenever you have a few minutes. You don't have to do hundreds of them. Just do 10 or 12 on each side or 10 or 12 together and just work your legs. So then eventually it just becomes part of your normal way of turning a corner or turning in a direction. So when I say turning in a direction, what I mean by that, if I'm going in the forward direction, my feet are heading in that direction. But if I want to turn, the simplest way is when the foot with the heel down turns in this direction and then pick up that toe. Okay. If I want to walk in this direction and I want to change directions, I can just pivot off of that and then step around. Or if I'm here, I could pivot off the ball. So there's different ways of getting into a position. Heel pivot depends on what's in contact the moment you're about to take that turn. So because we're doing it in different ways, the toe, or the heel, you have two options. You either use the toe or the heel, depending on where you are in that part of the sort of the transitional step. So when I'm walking this corner, I not have to change directions. I just can pivot off the ball of the foot and head that way. Or if I take the step to here, okay, and the weight is still not committed, then I can turn on the heel, then the ball. Or if I'm taking a step and I'm here, I could pivot and then start heading. So you have to find what's kind of most comfortable for you to make that transition. But the thing is, you have to work with your feet and play around with what it feels like to make that transition. So you're paying a lot of attention to how to create that action. So really it's being more mindful and conscious of and building a strategy of how to make that turn. So, that's really something you'll begin to understand, that you have the option of the ball of the foot or the heel of the foot, depending on where you are within your step. Okay, so that's something that you'll have to work with and kind of discover, oh, this is what's happening, that's what's happening. Okay, once we finish the leg work, we go back into this position. We're in a shoulder width stance. We're going to do shoulder rolls. So this is to help take out some of the tension in the upper neck area and the back, and also to use your shoulders and free up this area, the shoulder girdle, and some of the muscles that are involved in creating this motion. So we go about 10 times on each side, and then we reverse it, because the opposite group of muscles have to do the same motion by creating that sequence of events. So everything that happens in our movements becomes a sequence, and it becomes an event. An event in the sense that, well, this is what's happening next. So our body actually becomes familiar with these actions, and you direct it. So your mind will be the director, or at least your intent is driven by that. So in other words, if I say, okay, I want to go over there, that's a mind intent. So it automatically would take us in that direction, because now I'm ready to move. So it tries, by practice that, maybe we'll take away some of the delay or hesitation or anything that might be bogging you down to create that next motion. Now, because we want to avoid some of the rigidity and the stiffness in the body, what do we have to do? We have to move. We have to generate some kind of action in this area. We generate some kind of action in this area, so we've already worked this torso to build some of those movements. Now here, the next exercise after shoulder roll is the arm swing. So the arm swing essentially is the same movement that you have when you're swinging your arms and walking, down the street or wherever it is, your arms should be walking. Anytime you walk, your arms should be swinging like this. Here we're pressing down and up. Exhale, inhale, breathe through your nose. And stop. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we're going to do a couple of circles here, and we're going to fold and unfold the elbows and the knees, and it's just an up and down movement, a folding of the elbows. So it's 2 circles. And reverse. And center. Now we're going to do a palm down position. We're going to make a big circle, 2 arms parallel. We're going to go twice, and then on the 3rd time we're going to go up. I'm going to go twice. 1, 2, and then 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you notice big circle from the shoulders. Relax the shoulders so you don't have a conflict in your motion. 1, 2, 3. Turn a little bit to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, shake that out. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, now we're going to shift to go over like this. I'm going to shift over enough to bring the foot over. Shift over until the foot wants to come over. Now when the foot wants to come over, that means most of the weight is on this leg, and then you can bring the foot out and try to stand still and balance for a little while. Then you shift over, bring it over to here. Now just relax, bring the foot out. Now you may feel a little bit of this going on, but that's just responding to hold you in this position. So this is just being aware. Just pay attention to your body, and your body will react. Let's lift the knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And down. Okay, shake it out. I'm going to turn around. This is going to be one of the drills that we do where the hands do this. Okay, so see this imaginary center line? And this side has an imaginary center line. Okay. Now we're going to bring the right foot out and bring the right foot back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Now we're going to swing the arms again. On the other side, we're going to bring the left leg in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Now bring the feet closer together. You notice the hands can go from side to side. We're going to bring it to the left. And move the right foot out, and we're going to pull it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see the relationship when the hands go out and they close here, this closes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and close. Now we're going to go over here. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and stop. So all of those drills, working the legs for balance and bit of coordination, also heightens your awareness of where your feet are grounding or touching. Because when we're standing, we have to have a feeling and a response from what we're thinking up here, what's happening up here, and what's happening in the lower half of your body. So, a lot of the nerve endings are solely your feet, and a lot of other, apparatus in your body kind of control your balance and keeps you aware that you're in an upright position. So we want to heighten and improve that awareness and sensitivity, and we begin to understand, the whole process. So that's something that I think is, very, very valuable. It's a valuable tool to know that any of these things that we're doing will supplement and help your walking and your stepping and, the relaxing this so that your body doesn't go into that sort of rigid state. So to override the rigid state, you have to either relax, create a motion, and somehow get that to happen by building a motor skill. So like if you're sitting a lot, standing, or holding a position in a rigid position a lot, your body's training to be more rigid. So to avoid that, you have to move your body. You have to move your body just to get your body sort of acclimated to motion rather than feeling that it has to be in this state of rigidity. And they don't actually tell you why that's happening, but some of it might be because you're tense and you're anxious, and some of it might be psychological, some of it might be a response, might be sort of a flight syndrome where you don't feel like you're in control, and then your body wants to tense. So, all of this might be part of that, but regardless of what it is, try to overcome that by moving your torso, moving your body, and realize that, to do all of this stuff, whether it's bending or reaching, your body has to do something for that to happen. So everything that we're doing is learning how to move in a direction. But at the same time, these ways of moving in a direction, say I'm reaching for a cup, or I want to turn the faucet on. Well, you can't reach it, so what do? You don't just stand there and look at it, right? You have to understand that I have to get close enough, so what do you have to do? You have to take that first step. Okay? So this stepping that we're doing is, things that we took for granted, and a lot of the things that we're doing, like the pivoting, these are kind of standard maneuvers, even though we do this in Tai Chi, and I focus on that when we're doing our drills to define our direction of footwork and movement. But, back when you were in grammar school, or you're in a marching band, or if you were in the military, when you make a turn, that's how you turn. When you cross behind and you make a U-turn, that's how we're standing here and we want to turn. That's kind of a standard procedure. And that's, what you were taught, but maybe you forgot that that's something that you had learned before. And now that we're bringing it up, maybe it'll jog your memory. Well, that's what has to happen. So this type of turning, once you can connect with something that you already know, it's not learning something that's completely new to you. You might have done this at some point. So that's just sort of jog the memory. Okay, next we're going to do this exercise called a silk reeling exercise. I'm going to face the mirror here. I'm going to start like this. So you see my feet, they're just going to do this. Now when you see this, you see my knees, they're folding and unfolding. Okay, so this is sitting and you're holding the ball, and this is leaning and you're in forward position. I'm going to sit back and go forward. Now here's one position in the back side, sitting. The hands are like this. The forward side, you separate the hands. In the back side, you go back and you go back into this circular position. Now, I can break it down into 5 motions, and then back, which shows you that the right hand goes to the left shoulder, this goes to the right hip, and you go forward, and they separate in 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? And 5 is sort of resetting, starting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then when you blend it together, it becomes one fluid movement. So that's what what you're learning is to take movements and make it more fluid and integrated. Okay, now we'll go to the other side. So here again, the legs are doing this. So that's the legs. You go to the forward foot position, hold the ball, and you go forward. Hold the ball, and you go forward. And then we go to reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to blend it and run it through a few times. There's 1. This is just running through it a couple of times in sort of a continuous motion. Okay, good. So you can see, when I break it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's a sequence of events that happens. It goes there, then it goes there, then it goes there. So that sequence of events is what happens when we actually move. Everything is somewhat sequential. It's orderly. So we build this orderliness in our movements in our body, then we start to understand and draw off of, how we learn to do certain things that have sort of these complex motions. And, everything has to be done in a specific sequence for it to happen correctly. It's like starting your car. Today you have to step on your brake. Well, I guess some people still put their keys in there in the older cars. Now you step on the brake and you press a button. So you have to do it in that order. If you don't do it in that order, it doesn't work. So, anything that they discover or create that's new, you have to learn how to operate it. So, you go in a room and it's dark. First thing you do is not, just walk into a dark space. You turn the light on. So you build these order of things from your experience and that that this is what needs to happen. If you just think about anything you do, any task you do throughout the day, you realize that there's some form of order to doing it, and there's a sequence of events that have to happen. So when I'm teaching you these movements, there is a certain order that you have to set up to create the next action. So what we're doing is preparing for the next thing that's going to happen. So that's an idea that if you can understand that, then whatever you were going through and learning, we're breaking it down into this procedural type of learning process. And when we do that, we can learn anything. We can just have to build off of that. So you'll learn over time that, many things that you might be doing at home that you have a little trouble with, go through this process and figure out what has to happen first and what happens next, and then you build off. So this is a training strategy and learning mechanism to build all of those things. Now, if we cross our arms here, that's a common position. It's cross hands, okay? And we open like this. It's cross and open, cross and open. Now, we can have one hand on the front and alternate the hands. That really creates a position for starting. So if I have this foot forward, I put this hand on this side in front. I put this hand on the inside. Okay, you can do it like that, or put this hand and then bring this hand up. But either way, this is your position. And you open and close. And then you just hold and maintain that same position with the front hand being on the same side as your front leg. So this is opening, which is the hands expanded, and closing. Expand and close. Now we're going to switch the other side. Remember this front foot and this hand? It goes to the outside. Open and close. 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 Okay, shake it out. So in this instance, this hand is on the outside. So there's a reason for that, but it's a little bit not necessary to know why. We just memorize at this point. It's just sort of like, anything that we do. Just say you're putting a nut on a bolt, and then you have a washer. Does it go on the outside or on the inside? It goes on the inside, it goes on before the nut goes on. So there's a sequence and an order there. And there's a reason for that, and we would understand the reason for that is because if you put the nut on first and put the washer on the outside, it's not going to stay. So in this instance, we just do it like this because we can and we should, because actually this goes to a technique where you don't want to block your hand from coming out if you're doing this. So from out here, it's much easier to expand. So that's the simplest way of looking at that movement. So that'll give you an idea, what you're doing there. Now when we stand in the shoulder width stance, this is called preparation. Now when we lift up, drop your elbow and extend the elbows. So we look at our wrists. Our wrists kind of drapes like that, and then it goes like that, like a wave. Then the elbow stays straight, and then it folds, and then it straightens again. And then your shoulders accommodate the movement so that it creates a circular motion. On the other side, it's doing the same thing. When we put them both together, like in a pair of movements, then we're creating the motion that's called preparation. Now, if you notice, the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulders coordinated so that you can create this roundness and motion. Now at the lower part, when we bend the elbows and we bend the knees, and we straighten the knees and we straighten the elbows, that's just a natural course of the motion, because when you bend it, you have to straighten it. When you straighten it, you have to bend it. So that's a cycle. It creates an action. If you look from the side, what you're creating is a circular movement, and you're like rounding here, but the legs actually just go up and down. Unless you're on a bike and they're doing that, then you create a circular movement in the legs. So it's kind of like, if I alternated the hands, it's like riding a bike. So your hands are like that. So that just gives you an idea that if you soften the movement, then you're going to manipulate your joints. If you soften the movements, you're going to manipulate the joints. Now here we're just descending and coordinating it. But when we step up and we step, you actually will be creating something like this in the lower part of your body. So that's, how we move forward, and that's how we would move backwards as a step. The only reason why we move our legs is to get to where we have to go. What other reason is there to learn how to walk and step? It's because it takes us places. What's taken up walking is driving in many ways, because the longer the distance, the more you need something else to take you there, because your legs might not be able to endure the distance. So, but we still need to get from point A to point B in a smaller scale. So we have to keep our ligaments and tendons and all our joints active. And by keeping them active, we'll continually develop the motor skill that we need. Okay, next, from here, doing this movement, we're going to go to a lower hoop position. So this is the rounding out. From side view, it looks like this. Okay, that's lower hoop. Your palms are rounding. Now we're going to go to the shoulder height position. So here we just have this movement and this movement. Okay, lower to middle, hold it, clear your thoughts. This is kind of a meditative exercise, and just sustaining a position. So the term sustaining, that means maintain the position, okay, with a level of consciousness that you pay attention that your arms are here. So paying attention to where you're going and where your limbs are, something that we sometimes don't do, because it ends up that we're thinking about something else, but we don't pay attention to the body. Okay, let's go to triangle position. You pay attention to this. This is an elbow down position. Bring the palms together. That's a vertical elbow. Okay, from here we just clear the thoughts again. Let your body find this position, sustain the position, then eventually you develop the muscle memory for what this specific position is, and it's all relative to your body. Okay. So that's another term that I use. Hold the position. Lower hoop to extending the arm. Okay, so this is a straight arm, straight leg. Lift the back. Relax the nape of your neck by bringing the chin down this way a little bit. Now thrust down with the fingertips. And then we bring the hands forward. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So that series of exercises, I call it pile training, standing meditation, clearing your thoughts, and there's 5 different positions. You have lower hoop, shoulder height, in the triangle position, holding a small ball here. So triangle meaning when you put your palms together, it's there. So it's not out here. So that's 3. We lower the hands. That's 4. Palms down, vertical. Sort of like the end of this movement when you're doing the preparation. Right? Now we extend the fingers. So this is just standing sort of like an attention position, lifting and standing straight. So you lift your spine, lift your back, chin in slightly so that you're not tensing in the nape of the neck. Okay, so those 5 positions, you can practice holding those. And any of the other exercises within this, the sequence of the ones that we do, you can pick and draw whichever ones you want and kind of work with them. If you have ones that you find a little bit more complicated, you can focus on that one and kind of build that into, you build the mechanism to do that specific movement. And then as you do them more and more, and we do them you can do them 5, 6, 7 times a week if you choose to. Just pay attention to the ones that we're doing, and you build off of that. And over time, you'll start to be able to do most of them or all of them. Okay, so then preparation would be that. We did the standing meditation. Now we go to this triangle position like this and fold the elbow. Okay, once we're in this folded elbow position, we have strum the lute or vertical elbow and neutral position. I use those 3 terms to define this position. Okay, now I separate the hands. So you notice the position. There's the elbow position with this hand here, and this is in front of the nose. Thumbs up, right about where the nose is, palm together, alternate the shoulders. And center. Okay, next we're going to switch to the other side. And then we go up again. Now we alternate these. Okay, back to center. Now we turn. This is called draw the bow. Okay, next, relax the arms, spread the feet a bit, 45-degree corners, lift, fan through the back. So this is kind of like open and close, but it's a little bit more in a higher position. And inside hand on top takes us in a direction to the sides. So the inside hand takes us to the side. So everything that we're doing, actually, when we lift and relax, we're really working this area, especially when we lift like this, or we lift like this. This is called raising the hand. Think of one high, one low. So this one's reaching the sky and this one's reaching the earth. So the hands are separating. And then down. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Okay, so most people, the shoulders are pretty tight. And because they're pretty tight, I like to do movements that are going to change some of that, so to get the muscular used to doing that. So you have to mentally think of relaxing and then allowing the joint to release that tension. So because it's done slowly, the tendency for injuring yourself is less likely because it's done slowly. You'll stop, if there's a bit of discomfort there, and the chance of you forcing it through won't be likely. If you're doing something very fast and quick, the chance of you forcing that is more likely. So that's why we should do everything slowly, and if something is triggered, then you say, oh, stop, then you should just pause and stop. But that's one advantage of doing these exercises that we're doing, and because they're done slowly, there's a lot safer than doing something that's very fast, because, something very fast, you might misstep, you might trip, you might do something that's going to foul up your movement. But because we're doing this and we're doing it slowly, not only are you building better movement, but you're heightening your awareness of what's going on, and you're going through these in slow motion. So you're actually programming more little bits of information than if you're just going from point A to point B very fast. Okay, next. The goal is to learn more of the postures. So one of the things we do, we're going to start off with our feet like this. Okay. So we talked about the triangle. Okay. Talked about the hoop. And we talked about the square. Okay. Then we talked about 45-degree corners. And we talked about sinking the elbow. So you look at this position, you see that? Those essentially the geometry of position. Now if I bring my hands together and I drop my elbows and I open, that's again 45 degrees. Now if I turn my palms out facing those two corners, then you would have a position that if we hook the wrist, we would have single whip. Okay. Now we pivot the feet, then pivot it again, and pivot it again on one side. You end up spreading your feet. And depending on how far you want to spread, you end up into this position called a horse stance. And that's single whip. Okay. So once you've established a single whip position, then when you step out, there's your horse stance. Okay, if you shift your weight and pivot, there's your leaning stance, and we would step up. So anytime we shift our weight and move, it's going to take us in a direction. All right. So we're in, say, the hold the ball position, and we shift like this and pivot this foot just so it's straight but not all the way to this corner, then we can do the diagonal flying. Now, because that foot's straight, we can just move it in and then move it out. Now we're stepping forward. And we shift and then step up, and now we're in a shoulder width stance. Okay, so those maneuvers are transitions that you have to shift your weight, and then you have to move your feet a specific way. So, how does that going to help balance and, locomotion and walking and so forth? Well, it has to do with shifting a weight and changing directions. So if I go like this and control that, even though I'm using a posture to create this action, I have to control my lower extremities to create a position and create a step as a directional change. Now when you get to this point and we do brush knee, we just change directions 90 degrees. If we're in this position starting off the form, and I shift my weight, and I move my left foot forward. Now you're working from behind me, so you can follow, and I go to the vertical to horizontal elbow position. So I just want you to track this and follow this so you can see that everything that we're doing is not just a bunch of random movements. They're actually training tools and fundamentals of taking us in directions. So this is grasp the sparrow's tail, which is made up of those 3 geometric shapes that we just did. The single whip, hold the ball, diagonal flying, shift, step up, press forward, stork flaps wings. That was raise the hand to stork flaps wings, sorry. Okay, so, that's the process to take us through that. And so someone just learning it or people that are doing this, so that's pretty complicated and it will take some time. And it's true, it does take time, but the thing is you have to understand the process and the value of doing this. The value of doing this is you're building motor skill, you're building sequential memory, and you're learning how this whole process works. You have to be conscious of your movement, mindful of the things that we're talking about. You have to take the information in here, and you have to interpret it. And then you take those movements and interpret it and combine them to create the different postures. You're building control of your body, and you're learning to move, in an orderly way and controlling the body so you can avoid some of these rigid positions or take out some of the tension in the joints. So the biggest conflict in movement is tension, and the biggest conflict in the first action is tension. So how do you create action? You have to direct the movement from your mind to tell your body that this is what you're trying to do. So when we're in this position, there's your triangle, here's your hoop, here's your square. Now if I take my fingers and take it down toward the waist, that's a slanting movement. Okay, slanting movement. If I turn the palms up and I go forward, there's a palm up, so that's a triangle. Depending on, this is like opening a book. You bring it down, this is turning it over and bringing it down and bringing it up. And my hands are here, and I slant like this or slant like this. Those are directions of movement. And your hands actually, depending on whether you're palming it out, down, or up, or you're moving, we use the edge of the hand, the fingertips, or the side of the hand, the back of the hand, the palm. All of those are part of the manipulation of your skeletal structure to create an action in a specific direction. So that all these things that we're talking about, you say, well, normally I don't do any of that, but you do. Whether it's flipping, say you fry an egg and you have to flip it over, that's a turnover. Or you're holding a salt and pepper shake and you do this, that's really vertical to horizontal. So those are functional motions that you may not pay attention to, that it's something that you do normally. Holding your hands like this, that's a position that you could use to support something. It could be a glass, it could be stemware, whatever it is, and you're holding it as a structure. If your hands are in a position like this and you go like this, it's a position that you might be bringing a cup up to your mouth, or a fork, to your mouth, depending on what you're using or what type of utensil you're using. If you're holding it like this, if you had to carry a vase, you could do it like this, or hold a cup. These are structures. And if you had a towel draped over your arm, like sometimes they do in the restaurants, you're holding a position. So these are just positions that your body will start to use, purposefully. Okay, now I think we have a few more minutes. I want to make a couple of circles like this. This is clockwise rotation, and then I'm going to go counterclockwise as 2 circles. Okay, so this is something I'd like you to practice just to get a motion, because this is, pretty simple to do, and you build this coordination. So I'm doing 3 circles here, I'm doing 3 circles. Now when you step, you only do 1 circle. When you step, you're going to walk with the right, and then the left, and then the right. Then you're going to go backwards, left, right, and left. Then you're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay? So is it clear that when you go forward, you go right, left, right? Okay, forward, right, left, right. Backwards, going reversing, 1, 2, 3. Go forward, 1, 2, 3. Backwards, 1, 2, 3. Forward, 1, 2, 3. Go backwards, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So forward, it's like stepping on the gas with your right foot, then backwards, putting on the brakes. Forward, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty simple. 6 steps, 3 forward, 3 back. Now we have sort of 3 phases in which this has some. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's clockwise, counterclockwise. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Clockwise, counterclockwise. So when you're on the last step, your hands should be on that same side. 1, 2, 3. I'm on the right side, I'm on the right leg. 1, 2, 3. I'm on the left leg, I'm on the left side. And when you're on the left side, this one's going to take the step again. So that's a pretty easy exercise for you to practice. I do 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. You could do that for a few minutes a day, just doing that over and over again. You do a little bit of standing meditation and a bit of your deep breathing exercise. So that becomes a little bit of a routine that you can build off of. And then as you build, when you follow the class, you build more of the structures. And then each class will kind of remind you of which structures we're working on. Just remember, triangles, circles, and squares. And if you can keep that in mind, triangles, circles, and squares, then you'll begin to realize that your limbs create circles, squares, triangles, and then directionally you have forward and back, you have right and left, you have up and down, and you have what we call the balance point, or your central equilibrium, your balance. And your center of mass is about 3 inches below your navel. That's your center of mass. So everything kind of evolves around the change of where that center of mass is as you change your body position and your posture. So every posture there is a slightly different center of mass, and your body will, try to find that center so you stay balanced. Okay, on that note, I think I'll end for now. Follow it. You can, connect with the tutorials that are stored. This class will be archived so you can see it throughout the day or throughout the week or any time after that. So you can go to Facebook. You can go to our website. You have the links. If you're with the Parkinson's Foundation, they have a link. You can go on to YouTube and look for calvinshin.com or CCMAA live stream. So a lot of that stuff is there. The important thing is give us a thumbs up, and that's why we do this. Thumbs up means holding this position, thumbs up. That's a double. Okay, we really don't have too many of these, so only focus on that. All right, I'll see you Thursday. Okay, have a good day.